very good morning to you. Welcome to Breakfast with Chris Mason and Louise Minchin.
Our headlines today: more signs of intense pressure on the NHS as cases of coronavirus continue to rise. 3 ambulance trusts in the southeast of England urge people to only call 999 if there's a genuine emergency.
It comes as hopes grow that the Oxford-AstraZeneca vaccine will be given UK approval this week.
Getting ready for Brexit, a government warning to check your passport, travel insurance and mobile roaming charges before travelling to the EU.
The end for free refills. Sugary drinks are the latest target in the government's obesity clampdown.
Good morning. In sport, she's the most successful female jump jockey of all time. I'll be talking to Bryony Frost after her historic win in the King George VI Chase on Boxing Day.
Good morning. More of us waking up to the first snow of the season this morning. It's frosty, it's icy, it's going to be a cold end to 2020. I've got your forecast on the way.
Good morning. 8 o'clock, Monday the 28th of December. Our top story: hospitals across the UK say they're facing intense pressure as the number of coronavirus infections continues to rise.
3 ambulance trusts in the south of England are urging people to only call 999 if there's a genuine emergency. London Ambulance Service says Boxing Day was one of the busiest 24 hours in its history.
And in Scotland, doctors say health services could be overwhelmed if the relaxation of COVID restrictions for Christmas triggers a surge in cases. Andy Moore reports.
Health services across the country are under pressure, and in some areas such as Wales and London, they're under particular strain. The capital is where the new variant of coronavirus is growing most rapidly. The London Ambulance Service has reported that Boxing Day was one of its busiest days ever, second only to March the 16th earlier this year, when the first wave of the pandemic was beginning to surge. On the 26th of December this year, the service dealt with 7,918 emergency calls. That's an increase of more than 50% on last year's total for the same day of 5,217. In order to meet the rising demand, the service is putting back office staff on the road and drafting in extra ambulances from neighbouring regions. Other ambulance services in the southeast are reporting similar problems.
Ambulance trusts in particular are coming under extreme pressure, as are community and mental health services. Everybody affected by the impact of COVID, and talking to trust leaders overnight, they are under no illusion about how challenging this is.
In Wales, more than half of intensive care beds are now occupied by COVID patients. It's a situation described as unprecedented.
The situation across Wales is quite sobering. The number of people that are presenting with symptoms of COVID that not only require hospital admission, but are so seriously ill that they require intensive care. And that's more than 50% of our bed occupancy in intensive care is now due to COVID patients, is very worrying.
In Scotland, the country's clinical director has denied the system could be overwhelmed. He said measures were in place where extra capacity was needed. But some doctors are warning that a combination of factors could create a perfect storm.
The combination of these 2 occurrences, with much more mixing over Christmas and the very high transmissibility of the new strain of COVID, would result in many more infections and therefore many more hospital admissions, and necessarily then more admissions to intensive care unit and more deaths, sadly.
But there is some good news on the horizon. Another vaccine, the Oxford University AstraZeneca version, is expected to be given approval soon by the regulator, and its rollout could start early in the new year. The UK has ordered 100 million doses of this jab, and unlike the Pfizer vaccine, it doesn't need to be kept at extremely low temperatures. Andy Moore, BBC News.
Well, meanwhile, countries across the European Union have begun mass coronavirus vaccinations, with many prioritising the elderly and health workers. 101-year-old Gertrude Hees was the first person to get it in Germany, while 3 health workers were the first to receive the vaccine in Rome. The president of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, said she hoped the 27-country bloc would be able to vaccinate everyone in Europe by the end of 2021.
Businesses and people travelling to the European Union are being warned to get ready for substantial changes from New Year's Eve.
The Cabinet Office Minister Michael Gove said there would be some disruption which everyone needs to prepare for as the Brexit transition period comes to an end. Here's our political correspondent, Helen Catt.
This was the moment the UK left the EU, 11 p.m. on the 31st of January this year. And it'll be 11 p.m. again, this time on the 31st of December, when we will leave the single market and the customs union too. This time the government says we will notice the change. A trade deal was finalised in Brussels last week and it is expected to be in place before Thursday. The EU is set to approve it, possibly as early as today. The UK Parliament is expected to pass the necessary law on Wednesday. But even with the deal in place, businesses which trade goods with the EU will still have to file customs declarations, even though they won't pay any tariffs. Lorries wanting to use the Channel Tunnel or the Port of Dover will need a permit to enter Kent. In Holyhead, authorities are also putting in place measures to deal with possible traffic build-up. There will be new trade rules for Northern Ireland. The government has said there is likely to be some disruption to trade. It has advice for anyone planning a trip to any EU country except Ireland too. Check your passport is valid, double-check your roaming policy for your mobile phone and take out full travel insurance. Valid EHIC cards will still be recognised though. The government says with big change comes challenge and opportunity, and that, it's reminding us, starts in just a few days' time. Helen Catt, BBC News.
We'll be speaking to Michael Gove here in about 20 minutes' time, 8:30. Buy one, get one free promotions on unhealthy food and free refills of sugary soft drinks in restaurants will be banned in England from April 2022 as part of new government plans to tackle obesity.
Supermarkets will also be barred from displaying unhealthy goods at checkouts, as Aruna Iyengar reports.
Ministers want us to buy more of this and less of this. Loading up the trolley with unhealthy buy one, get one frees may soon be a thing of the past. Ministers say this promotional practice is bad for our health and encourages us to buy excessive amounts of food we don't actually need. The government says it wants to get tough on tackling obesity. And childhood obesity is seen as one of the biggest threats to Britain's future health. The restrictions will apply to foods high in fat, salt or sugar, such as cakes, crisps, soft drinks, breakfast cereals, pizzas and ready meals. Smaller shops will be exempt from the rules. And there will be no more free refills of sugary soft drinks when dining out.
Succulent tower burger smothered in spicy Italian style.
An 8-week consultation will also propose going ahead with a ban on junk food adverts being aired on TV before 9 p.m. The approach, which will apply in England, is seen as a U-turn for Boris Johnson, who has in the past criticised so-called sin taxes and nannying by the state. Aruna Iyengar, BBC News.
Hundreds of British tourists have reportedly fled the Swiss ski resort of Verbier rather than face a 10-day quarantine. Around 200 people are thought to have left the town, popular with UK holidaymakers, during the night. That was after Switzerland's government ordered anyone arriving from the UK after December the 14th to self-isolate following the discovery of the new variant of coronavirus. Reports claim tourists were even offered free champagne on Christmas Day to make their stay more comfortable.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.